I want everyone to know that Jim is getting a award at the end of our session. So, and it's a Bob Marley Peace Award.
Oh.
We don't give that to very many people.
And
that's true.
So, and I want to big up one of my sheroes too. All of you are my sheroes, actually. So, anyway, so without any further ado, we're going to move on. And Jim, you can really lead us into this poetry that everybody's listening to all over the world. And also we are streaming it on radio and San Diego, if you're driving by Balboa Park, you're on K-Vibe Radio. Jim, you can take it over.
Makeda, I think, is there anything you want to say about WorldBeat before I start?
Sure. Say that we really are blessed to have your support for these many years. You know, we're 31 years in Balboa Park, and it's been a struggle. And anything that is really moving us forward will cause suffering. And I'm not new, and none of us are new to suffering. Our ancestors suffered for us to be here. And we're here. We've been feeding the homeless. We've been making masks. We're gonna do our best to let people know how to really treat their bodies and as a fine instrument. Your body is the temple. So we're going to be opening up our cafe. That will be for takeout in the first stage. So we want you to, you know, really support the WorldBeat Center, you know, by food. We have a garden. We got great things in our garden. Fresh food. And we want you to eat fresh food and support the farmers. That's important. If you can be a member, please, because the WorldBeat Center is a place for all of us. You know, it's inclusion, diversity, you know, and justice. So, and that's what all you poets are about. Poets are always dangerous. You know, sci-fi writers and poets are some of the dangerous people on the planet. So you and legends and my dog sits here. So you need it, and WorldBeat Center is here for you and educating the community. You know, we had Kwanzaa, Martin Luther King Day, you know, and I know I'm getting old when I start seeing Jesse turn 37. When he was 15, he came in. So, but, and he, 2 weeks or 15 days, just 15 days, Jesse will be 37. And that's, can you imagine? He was a little kid. And I will be in July 78. Mm-hmm. So it's important how you eat. And so we're here for you to educate. We're going to get really strong into immune foods, what you can do to, you know, boost your immune system. And one of the things that really boosts your immune system is love. Love is the highest emotion. So we at the WorldBeat Center, we love you all. And Jim, I'm honored to be with you. We have young poets that are going to come on the mic, open mic, and they're incredible. This is their home, and they're called Black Expression. So thank you so much. And I'm looking, we're right on time because LA's got poets coming up. They got poetry at 7 o'clock. I'll give you the link. And they're doing it online. So we're on time. Thank you, Jim. I love you very much. I hope everyone of you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for letting us test out this revolutionary software to go on everywhere. So thank you. So come on now. So take it over, Jim.
I'm Jim Moreno, and I'm the caboose, and that lady is the locomotive. She's behind all of this, and I love that lady very much. She's one of my sheroes, and I'm with the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, and all the women in this organization of ours are my sheroes, amazing writers. Let me just say a little bit about how we became binational and bilingual. I was talking to Joe when Joe Milosh, when Trump was running for office in 2016, and he was slurring Mexican people, Mexican culture. And I said, we have to model the brigade. We need to model friendship that strengthens borders and not militarization and insults or a wall. And it just spread among us. And the next thing I know, Francisco Busto from Southwestern College, a marvelous poet, Mexican-American brother, invited me down to Sucut in Tijuana to read some poetry. And after I read my poem and I helped him with some percussion, I said in Spanish, disculpe por mi un presidente, and apologized for the way that he was downing Mexico. And I said, what we want to do I'm with the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, and what we want to do is we want to become bilingual and binational. And if you're interested in that, please come up and let's talk after this is all over. Pilar, Hirato, Mavi, and 3 other poets. One of them, who was riding a bicycle from Peru to Alaska, young man, came up and said, let's do it. And so we did a reading at Sucut. We did a reading at Enclave Caracol. I think we did 2. And when we do our readings at the Space Bar, which will be tomorrow, we're going to have John Fox as the feature. When we do our readings there, people bring in food and donations for Food Not Bombs at Enclave Caracol. They feed the homeless there for 4 days a week for free. And that's what we're about. And this isn't really about me. This is about us, the brigade. And you're going to find that each poet who's going to read to you today has a certain type of genius that just astounds me. I'm really, I like hanging out with them. I like hanging out with them a lot. So without further ado, our first poet, who when she reads, I think she is a female matador, because she's always going ole to the bull, and then boom, she just kills it when she reads. And I love how she has a bookstore with Hirato in Tijuana. So they're all about literature as a couple. But Pilar, when she reads, you'll see. So can we give a hand for Pilar Rodriguez Aranda?
Gracias, hola. Ya estoy ahí. ¿Todo bien? ¿Me oyen? I suggested when Jim invited me, and I said, well, can we change the name to ReEvolutionary? So anyway, I am always very thankful with Jim, especially because you've always made me feel very welcome in San Diego, even though I live in el otro lado. I am originally from Mexico City. I have lived all over the place, but I've been residing in Tijuana for the last 4 years, a little over 4 years already. And again, I'm very honored to be here, very happy. And thank you very much for the invitation. The poems I want to share with you, working on it, I thought, oh, I think I'm going to read some of these poems, even though they're not recent. I think they touch upon, and it deals with, some travels and the fact that I'm, at that time was a Mexican living in the US and so on. So I'll give you a little taste of it. I'll be publishing it in Kindle, so you can find my page in Amazon. I'm starting to upload some of my collections there. So I will start with a dream. I'm gonna have to use this. I went for a run over the top of the impossible. It looked like the Paricutin, where I have never been. I could almost touch the thin white clouds, scattered shreds, letting through the moonlight as if through a wedding veil. It was night and the moon was full. I ran and didn't stop. Felt no tiredness. The only sound, my constant breathing. It smelled like country's nocturne. The moon lit my way. The rest was dark night, impenetrable forest or bottomless abyss. Couldn't tell. Kept running. I wasn't wondering when I would stop. I wasn't wondering anything. I just drank the air with my senses, an illuminated path, and my rhythmic breathing. Never knew what time I arrived. I do remember stopping, closed my eyes, and slept very still. I know I dreamed of the moon, was awakened by the sun over my eyes. I continued on top of my own being. I believe I arrived at the very beginning. No los oigo, I can't hear you, but thank you, I can see it. And I forgot to mention, I will not read the Spanish because of time restraint, but some of them have some Spanish here and there. Maybe for some other time, we'll do both. The next poem is a very brief.
Excuse me, Pilar.
Sorry, yes.
I think you should read the Spanish. I think we should honor the Spanish, please.
Oh, well, I have to look for it. I'm already set up, so.
Okay, sorry.
We'll leave a taste for next time. I think it'll be okay.
We'll be doing this. We'll be doing this again. Makeda's lit a fire, so we'll be doing this again.
Okay, yeah, I think you'll enjoy it anyway. They're bilingual. So I have like 4 poems I called TV poems. And also I forgot to mention that this manuscript was written in the late 90s. So it's like last century. And I had a little baby then. So at times I would be writing and the noise from the TV, would come through the poem and the writing. And I did like 4 poems where I played with that. And this is TV poem 2, Austin, Texas. Church's fried chicken, $7.99. Chickens alive and healthy, so we feel like killing them and then eat them for just $7.99. A woman dancing La Bamba with very little grace, and other tiny screams, ay arriba on the other canal. Debate on Elvis continues and his próximo aniversario de muerte. Strange traditions to idolize dead humans like chickens, Puritito, Kentucky, fried fiction. And the next one is a trip that actually I took in 1988 to Bolivia. The title of the poem is such, is Trip to Bolivia. So it's a very, very old poem, but I like I said, when I was translating, I thought, oh, I think it might take you there. And, you know, I think we all need to travel a little bit in this time of confinement. So you let me know if you did. Trip to Bolivia for Eliana and Armando. Describe one or two landscapes, the blue lightness of the Andean air, or the red brick of the hill framed by the front window of the Cota Cota apartment. Learn the name of the cholas and the creoles. Eat el choclo, el chuño, la salteña. Drink un api, un jugo, una cañagua. Singani with tumbo and coca tea for altitude sickness. What is Bolivia for me but a succession of events channeled through a time from February to March of a year of unequal fortune? What is Bolivia for me but a sign of madness, aristocratic madness, tragic poetry's love, alcohol and night held tight by a brotherly embrace? What is Bolivia for me? And who are its inhabitants? And who are the ghosts that inhabit me? What is Bolivia? And the answer might be found at the end, looking back, in the incomplete history of a defeated people, in the photograph that hardly shows an instant of what it was. Lost sea of arid and sentimental waves. Mountain range profile reinvented in detail. Literary cueca. Eternal solitary dance of memory.
So Pilar, just one more, please.
Okay. So I'll close with one of my signature poems, and I usually read it in Spanish. I'll just say that when I say coyote is not an animal, but it's like the men that help people cross the border with no papers. And I added a change there, see if you get it. It's called Border She Is. There is no coyote good enough. You cannot reach her without her permission. Her mouth is ice with no bureaucracy. She is border from head to toes, river, canyon, mountain, arcane horizon. Passport in hand, you could explore her surface, ratify the points of interest, cross more than once the dividing lines. She is border, territory different and other. It isn't yours, nor will you be able. You will attempt to inhabit her. You will always be a traveler between her legs, relative, stranger, the tail of the comet. She will be your border. Wow. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Pilar. My goodness. Mavi Robles Castillo is not with us, but I wanted you to know that after we did our first reading at Enclave Caracol, she looked at us and said, you know, in the fall of next year, you can go down to this place. There's a lake and it's in Mexico and there's a fort there and they would want you to teach your poetry to some students there. She was willing to arrange that for us. She's not here today, but when she reads, if you can imagine that someone would just burst into flames as they're reading their poem, that's kind of Mavi. So I'm sorry she's not here, but I honor her for the way she writes and for how she extended that invitation to us. Sharon Elise is our next poet. And from the time that we were doing Families Against Three Strikes Law, I think that was in the 90s, in the mid 90s, to now, when I've asked her to be part of something with her poetry, she's never said no to me. She's a professor of sociology at Cal State San Marcos, and she is working very strongly in the unions, the professors union, and she might even say a few things about that. So please welcome my sister. You got to unmute yourself, dear. It's left. Okay.
I got it. I was trying to do that, and things all started moving. What can I say? Even though I'm on Zoom all the time, I'm not excellent at it. So yes, I've been doing a lot of work with the California Faculty Association. We are a social justice union that is centering anti-racism and social justice in all of our work. And in this time of COVID, we want to make sure that however we return to our work of higher education in the fall, that it is with first and foremost the safety of students, faculty, and staff in mind. So it's ongoing. I want to read my first poem is in honor of Mother's Day, and it is really about my mom and her relationship with her mom. And just to note, even though my mom is 87 years old, she still really misses her mother. So this is called She, Her, and I. Her mother is a steady presence, a low hum through her day. A voice in her ear coaxes her to action, setting things to order, slapping a sheen of clean on every surface. She will tell you she lost her best friend. She will say she doesn't know how to get through each day without her. Knowing this, I watch her for signs. Her slow step, her wandering eyes, hesitations, a question in each sentence. Her shoulders tucked forward, steps careful, as though the earth won't hold her. But her face, when she opens the door to me, breaks into a smile. I do not know that I deserve her. I do not know how I would get through the day without her. Thank you. So that's for Mom, and I like to channel my family all the time when I'm performing because it gives me some comfort when I'm scared of audience. Just before this poetry reading, I learned that my dad, who is 91 years old, has gone into the ER. And so we're concerned and praying for him, as so many of us have concerns about the health and well-being of our loved ones these days. So this is for Daddy. And it's called A Broke Glass and Green Grass. Born Negro Navy, hatched in Quonset huts, eyes stitched to a gray shape off the pier seam, a distant line halfway to the sky, track Daddy. Not his boy or free from comment, not girlish, metamorphosis in my own kiss on a limb out of reach. She said, if you can kiss your elbow, you can change. Later, I wanted Black authenticity. Born Negro Navy, nigger hurled at me. My parents said, look it up in Webster's dictionary. It wasn't me. When we lived in New England with no seat belts, my sister Chrissy and I held to the front seat cord through snow in a Pontiac with no floorboards, clutching Sunday school dimes with one white glove apiece because we split a pair. They wanted a boy, but I went in the hedge with God, asked for Brennan when she was coming. I went to Audrey's house full of boys, stayed in trouble, falling on twigs, wetting my pants, trying to run as fast. One had a broken leg, wore a huge white cast to keep him still. We were always moving. When Daddy got orders, coast to coast, black to white, city to burb, Navy Negro made me odd as Calypso, and Daddy's quick clipped words, British wool, Mommy's typewriter with the Inya, the island primer phonetics. In the DC alley, the neighbor kids said we talked funny, couldn't fight like white girls, knocked us down, then made friends, taught us double Dutch and jumping Red Rover right onto broken bits of glass and cement instead of green grass. Suburbs silenced me till a curse split my mouth on the color line crossing my college classroom, pulled full lip smiles out of my first Black professor, and didn't die. He was good looking with a mustache and a Porsche. Cool came, kept changing, and I kept chasing. Knew it wasn't sitting behind the Go Navy sign on our new used station wagon, even if we were flashing truckers' peace signs. There were no places to belong to until the island customs guy claimed me by face and family. And we weren't Navy Negro different from Black. We were island Beckway people gone to America who didn't come back. But then I thought they were weird, didn't cuss, but sucked their teeth in disgust. I travel time, find home in moments from memories, eyes on a gray shape, could be a dolphin, keeping still like Texas relatives, moving my mouth like Calypso. Thank you. Okay, this is something I found today when I was looking through my poetry, and like Pilar was sharing, it's from a while ago, but it seems relevant today. I don't know what you see before you, but I know today I do not feel like talking about fucking your body, your booty, your sweat and slime on me when all I see on TV between skiing and skating and flag waving Olympics is disasters, large and small, city, village, mall, people running from police, countries waging war on peace, anything for money, and in between the white woman body on parade. And is that all I am, made for sex? Black women, booty now too, and even you, my brother. We used to be back in the day, the Panther Fist after marching all through Mississippi, people black and white, but mostly we were Negro then. Children, lots and lots of women and men trying to walk our way to dignity. We used to couldn't even pee in their toilets. I remember in my family, we carried a potty in the car, and we got the vote, finally. I can't encapsulate this 50 years of struggle and strain, but I can tell you where I stand, living from Emmett Till time and Brown versus the board to Clarence Thomas and the current war. It does seem we got confused. Remember that Peter, Paul, and Mary song when white people started growing their hair and singing, "When will they ever learn?" And I have often told myself that we, the Black people that used to be Negroes, had gone conscious, reaching back into our history for wisdom from Martin Delaney and Marcus Garvey. We are a nation, a people. Up, up, you mighty race, you can. Sojourner Truth shouting down to Miss Anne, ain't I a woman? Harriet Tubman ran the first train and it wasn't a Boston, but like I said, I think we have got it confused. We are lined up like dominoes, might be black ones, but we growing white dots, leaning all into each other toward a long tumble that's going to carry us all down, down, down. Nobody love a preacher anymore. And even those that do that charade, soon as they get out the door or even downstairs eating chicken and strutting the church cafeteria floor, start talking the same bullshit. The last poets asked us, Black people, what y'all gonna do? And I raised the same question for me and for you while Tukey is dying and Mumia is lying in the hell of a cell. When are we gonna get back to the busyness of freedom? Thank you.
Just one more, please.
Okay, I was ready.
Is that all you wanted to read, Sharon?
No, I got one last one.
Okay, thank you.
Destiny ours. No stomping boots stab fear to your chest, but the gentle slap of a flip-flop. No rat-a-tat-tat of a tin drum parades thousands to war, but a talking drum bends your ear to earth, but wings of hope unroped flap and fan the flicker of a flame to a wall of fire that sweeps aside an era of greedy desire. No engines of industry and profit, but hands that nurture everyday lives. Not a shameful past never named, not an apocalyptic future foreordained, not I, but we the people, not whining petty quarrelsome, but 1,000 voices raised in song, calling to right these wrongs, side by side, the preacher, the teacher, the student, the nurse, the cleaner, the server, the grocery store clerk, the baby, the senior, the parents, the youth, stand together, proclaim this truth. Nothing is given, nothing forsaken, destiny ours for the making. Thank you.
If you, thank you very much, Sharon. If you came in a little late, this is the Revolutionary Poets Brigade of San Diego and Tijuana. And there's about 8 to 10 of us that are going to read 5 to 7 minutes. And then we're going to switch up a little bit. But the poets that you are hearing decided that that our unpresidential president was being disrespectful to Mexico in many ways, and that we wanted to model friendship as a way to strengthen our borders and not militarization. Our next poet is Theresa F. And we were both in the Langston Hughes Poetry Circle for about 10 years. And one time our two leaders were Yussi and Chaiko Quayana. And they decided, Chaiko decided that we were going to bring Amiri Baraka here to read at Malcolm X Library with Quincy Troop. And Quincy Troop was still in town. And so what was decided by our leaders, by Chaiko and Yussi, was that Theresa was also going to read with him. And she absolutely didn't miss a beat. She just absolutely held her own, what she does, whether she's in Africa, which she just returned from a year working with people in Africa in 3 or 4 countries, or whether she's with us here in the United States. This is Theresa F.
Good afternoon. Give thanks. I want to pay homage to our ancestors, Mother, Father, Spirits, Afro angels, and people that look like her on a regular basis. For Sacramento, Maryland, and S.
Theresa,
thank you so much. And Washington.
Theresa, you're coming in and out.
And I give thanks to my family. Can you hear me?
You're coming in and out. You're freezing and then talking, freezing, talking. Would you mind turning off your video so we can hear you? And that might help.
All right, no worries. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, give thanks to everybody who's here. Things that go bump in the night no longer fill me with fright. It's the moral monsters that scream in the light, flocking daily outside the house that's white, that cause me to have daymares, dodging hate, saturated stares, as I'm caught in the act. Changing governmental edicts, killer viruses circling in air. Moral monsters have money lining their lairs. Demons no longer concealing faces with white sheets, formal endorsements permitting open attacks on public streets, striking out at airports, on subways, in graveyards like diarrhea or beef. Blonde hair with blue eyes, heralded once again as the epitome of beauty. Blue uniforms versus black, brown, yellow, and red skins. Legalizing a vile sense of duty, reminiscent. Children armed with Skittles, iced tea, and a hoodie. Moral monsters mutilate with diseases, ballots, bullets, and alternative facts. An arsenal of repeals, bans, and amendments aimed at our backs.
That's too bad.
These for illegal phone taps. Things that go bump in the night no longer fill me with fright. Instead, it's the moral monster, the encased in an obnoxious orange pelt that screams in the light, who now resides in the house that's white.
You're up after her.
Thank you. Shh, be very quiet. I'm hunting wabbit. It's duck season. No, it's wabbit season. Thou shalt not kill. Vampire killing season. Zombie killing season. For omnivores, it's always cow, chicken, and turkey killing season. Duck season. Wabbit season. I thought I saw a putty cat. You shall not murder. Black Panther murder season. Crackhead murder season. Taliban murder season. Homeless murder season. When has it ever not been shooting down unarmed black, tan, brown, red men and women season? It's America with 3 Ks, and it's always transgender and LGBT beaten season. Today, it's ISIS season, which means Muslim hunting season, collateral damage season. Will it ever be goodwill hunting season? I thought I saw a putty cat. Wabbit season, duck season, wabbit, duck, wabbit, us, duck. Thank you. I got a couple more. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Theresa, this is Makeda, and we've been together for a long time, and I'm really proud of you. You know I've been there. do us another one.
Say that again, ma'am. What did you say at the end?
I said, let's hear another one.
Thank
Theresa,
you.
I love you very much. Thank you.
Mom, you went mute.
Unmute.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Who? What? Home of the who? Land that I was? Go back to Africa, they say. Love it or leave it, they scream. But wait a minute. How soon they forget. My ancestors are the unwilling immigrants who had no choice in it. Unwilling immigrants. We had no choice in it. Took us away captive. Expect me to be satisfied as I watch my people die. Profits over human life, to which they think they have a right. Unwilling
immigrants. We had no choice in
it. Ships, they brought us over with their whips. We had no choice in it. The World Trade Center has fallen down, but I'm not a scared lady. World trade, slave trade, it all sounds the same to me. In 1963, on their knees in prayer at church in Birmingham, Alabama, They lost their lives before they even knew what life was. Terroristic acts on American soil is not new. Racial profiling, poverty, sexism, homelessness, racism, abortion center bombings, homophobia, rape, the death penalty, prisons, child abuse, substance abuse, and the fact that movie stars and athletes, school teachers. Now, these are just a few acts of terrorism that scare me. They scare me into action. What about you? That's it, unless you got one more, but I don't want to take up everybody's time.
Well, we want to thank you for coming back from Africa and coming back to San Diego, and it's so good to see you. Thank you for doing this today. I think I just paid you back from Kwanzaa Fest.
Give thanks, family. Thank you so much.
All right.
Theresa, come see me. All right. Sharon and Elise, I mean, Sharon was incredible too. You know, she's always incredible.
Yes, ma'am. So we're going to bring on now a very, very strong musician and poet. She has decided that she wants to do a poem and then do a poem with me. So she's a professor at San Diego State University, and she has a blog called
Note Song.
Note Song. So do you want to sit here? Yeah. So let's welcome Dolores Fisher.
Well, hello, as Jim prepares to get ready to do the very next poem that we're going to do. I'd like to do a new poem for you, and it's called Vision Walker. As you know, I worked with Olga Garcia, Catherine Rice Simmons, Kelly Lucas Parrish, and we were 4 to the nth power. And then when Catherine Rice Simmons passed away, Megan Webster took her place. And Megan Webster recently passed away, an international poet. And it was really wonderful to have worked with so many innovative women in an innovative time, the early 2000s, as a matter of fact, when we didn't have that many poets who were women poets in poetry groups at that time. We crossed back and forth across the border. But without further ado, this is called Vision Walkers. It exists, but the dream has not been deferred. It just is playing out on an eternal timetable we cannot control. Our vision walker is long dead from my generation. You know, Brother Martin and the elders slain by the insane who scream vile obscenities, cloaked in shapeshifter media, molded palliative atrocities. They thought they could down. But they rise and they rise and still they rise and still they rise. But a new generation of vision walkers, their legacy pierced with cloven fire and saved from the valley of dry bones, remembering the elders walking in their anointed call, who understand that to rise in victory, one has to bow on humble knees before an almighty God. The vision walkers are rising. The new vision walkers are saying, no longer will we be held down. A new generation, their legacy pierced with cloven fire, their legacy pierced with cloven fire, their legacy pierced with cloven fire that explodes across the horizon of our global essence. They know that we have not reached the mountain top yet. But they walk together Children, for their stony, stony, stony pathway will not be spoiled by a chastening rod. They will be inspired to join together. They will be inspired to love one another. They will be inspired to say to the world, we will not be silenced. We are here. We are together. Can you hear them? Can you hear the echoes from our past? The vision walkers' voices cry out for mercy. The elders shout. The elders know. As we shout, freedom, freedom, they're shouting, freedom, freedom. Be careful. Through their eyes, the Lord's glory they did see, not just for the freedom to be you and me, but to become the image of God that he wants us to be. It is not freedom just to go out and get a hair change or sit on a beach towel. We are made in the image of the Almighty God. Our dungeons must shake. Our chains must fall off. So many people are suffering. And the young vision walkers who are proclaiming who and what they are now in the essence of time, they smile. They know. They know. They have to rise to share. They have to rise to comfort. They have to rise to show love. They have to rise to be. They have to rise to fill the shoes of those who came before them. They have to rise to touch you and me. For as our elders and our present generation and our future join together to become that which is a movement, they know that in this time, we must meditate. We must seek harmony. And we must contemplate in humility our fragile humanity. Thank you.
I think you all survived pretty well. So I think what I would like to do is, can I just move your stuff over, okay? I think what I would like to do is change my seating. This is called Encounter in Reno, and this is an actual sculpture that I saw one day. It's in my book, Dancing in Dissent, Poetry for Activism. And Dolores is going to start us off. Go ahead, ma'am.
I have always been a dreamer. I have always been a singer of song. Rocks in my hand, so they told me, but my life has proven them wrong.
I met her at twilight in downtown Reno, on the corner of Mill and Virginia, on the river corner of Pioneer Center, Truckee River, Snowwater near, 1 block away, cooling air, chilling her naked body, chilling thoughts of elsewhere. River water come from Tahoe, down clear cold mountain stream, chilling air, chilling her bent down, naked buff body, shaved head, steel wire eyes glued to ground, stooped by weight of stones. So many stones, bending her frame, bending her gaze, blues burden gaze. In her nakedness, she was all alone. I met her in downtown Reno in dusk's light, across from post office near Lakes Crossing, where Washoe were slaughtered, where Paiute were slaughtered, where survivors, American Indian ancestors, were shipped back east by railroad. Easier to steal the land that way, you know. She caught my gaze, squatting down naked, right there on the corner, just around the corner from Esoteric Coffee House and the poetry reading on First and Sierra. I didn't want to offend her, but I had to touch her because she had rocks in her head. She had rocks in her head like me. That's what they said since I can remember. They told me I had rocks in my head because I chose poetry. But they didn't know poetry chose me. Like sexual preferences, like moonlight on still night, low tide sea pools, like moans of spent, sweaty lovers, like Africa and snow-topped mountains, like Florida and barefoot walks and warm sun showers. Poetry chose me. She drew me to her, eyes cast on ground, across from Bantu Spirit African Shona Art Store, Maasai batiks, 40 cents. I climbed the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, hopping the last, drinking her form, circling her once, twice. I worried someone would see me, entranced with her, drawn to her. I wondered, has anyone come here to touch Washoe woman, Maasai woman, Mandarin woman, poverty slave, white woman enmeshed in steel binds of Eurocentric male-dominant society, bent by so many swallowed stones. Stones of patriarchy, stones of racism, stones of male supremacy, stones of misogyny, stones of single motherhood, stones of closed-door poverty, stones of mothers given flags for war-dead sons. Stones expunging any reference to wisdom of the life-saving, peace-protecting crone. Stones of homophobia, stones of corporate media trapping my sister's image in polarities of hooker or saint, harlot or Madonna, bully or hag doll. Stones of corporate media pushing stories of sisters crafted by men who could be brothers. Pushing sexist poppycock consumed by young brothers and sisters, orphaned by absent parents, dreaming of condos with white picket fences, while community, a place where all people are safe, is smeared to terse extension by spin doctors 86 from the Fourth Estate, disbarred by disloyalty, diseased by cannibal sales and hackdom, stones of barefoot in the kitchen and don't be a woman and be too smart, masculine, female, phobia, stones of men who could be brothers, winking at the climate of violence against women, stones of men who could be brothers, winking at the climate of violence against children. Stones of if the sister fights back after years of torture and stops her abuse, stops her children's abuse, she'll be locked up for life with abuse evidence smothered. Stones of when you're slaving at your job, you won't get what you're worth, but a few old, greedy, funky white men will be paid 700 times more than sisters or brothers in a system called capitalism. Synonym for industry of misery. Synonym for if they won't buy it in the store, we'll make them believe they need it for war. Look at what you've been forced to swallow. I whispered to her, and then I touched her. I touched the rocks in her head. I touched the rocks in her back, just above her heart. Then I reached around, still afraid of being seen, being accused of rock-strong male compassion. I touched her heart between her stone-still breasts. I touched the soles of her feet. I touched her face. I touched her eyes. I touched her lips. I touched her cheek. She could only look down at the ground. I could not remove the stones that weighed her down, that diminished her sight. A pair of geese honked high above, flying over Snowmelt River, breaking her spell on me. Sounds of water rushing over stones, sounds of stones, wet whispering prayers filled the air as I followed feather-light flight of winged ones climbing in cloudless blue sky. I turned back to look at her one last time. I said gently to her, they told me I had rocks in my head because I've always been a dreamer. They told me I had rocks in my head because I've always been a singer of songs. They told me I had rocks in my head because I've always believed in love. They told me I had rocks for brains, but the rocks were really flowers, spoken word flowers, image flowers to bloom. It was twilight in Reno. That was Dolores Fisher. Back in my, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Gloria James is our next speaker. She has been working with the Answer Coalition for 20 years, 30 years. She's been working with Mumia Abu-Jamal Coalition, trying to free a man who's been locked up for 3 decades, maybe more, for a crime he did not commit. She was from the beginning trying to stop all the Gulf Wars, giving information about the lies that the administrations were telling so they could make corporate welfare money on the war. And she's recently moved from San Diego, but I think we've talked more in the last couple months than we ever did when you were living here. Please welcome someone who's erudite, well-spoken, and informed. This is Gloria Verdú.
Thank you so much, and greetings, everybody. Can everybody hear me pretty well? Can you hear me? Say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm an organizer with the Coalition to Free Mumia Abu-Jamal, and I'm also a writer. I write for a publication struggle for lucha, struggle for socialism. And we just finished writing an article on, uh, Ahmaud Arbery. He's the young man that was killed February 23rd by two white, I call them white thugs, but one of them was a white policeman and the other one was his son. And so we put that statement out, and it should be on Struggle La Lucha, which you can find online. It's an online publication. Today, I'm going to read you a piece that I did with Mary Lou. Everybody knows Mary Lou Finley, some of you here. And it's on political prisoner Mumia Abu-Jamal's 66th birthday, which was Friday, April 24th, a little over 2 weeks ago. So it goes like this. It's the name of it is Mobilizing for Mumia Abu-Jamal's 66th birthday in the midst of COVID-19. All of us, every one of us, when we fight, we win. So let us fight together. Never forget the love for each and every one of you for the remarkable work you have done and we have done together. So let's get together. Let's make it happen. This was a message from Mumia Abu-Jamal, recorded by Noel Hammerhand from Prison Radio on April 24th, 2020. In March and April, there were several conference calls about the next steps that we need to be taken in the campaign to free Mumia Abu-Jamal and all political prisoners in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. There is great concern around all the members of the movement about inmates in all the jails, prisons, detention centers, and other correctional institutions like juvenile halls. All correctional institutions are overcrowded with little or no personal hygiene or sanitizing products, and they lack adequate medical care. It is imperative that we attain the release of all prisoners now. The growing movement has to put pressure on the officials to make this release happen. As explained in a recorded message on Prison Radio by Alvin Kilgore, an inmate in the California Department of Corrections. All it takes is for one person to walk into this environment and you have a crisis on your hands. It is not so much getting it from prisoners, it is getting it from the correctional staff. When asked, if you start feeling COVID symptoms, how long will it take for you to see a doctor? Kilgore responded, the problem with that amongst prisoners is that they will be afraid to report that because it would automatically result in them being isolated in the hole. Inmates have very few personal hygiene products or other means of sanitizing. They don't have adequate medical care. And most importantly, they are not able to practice social distancing, which makes jails, prisons, and detention centers death traps for prisoners, staff, the surrounding community, and connected communities. The International Concerned Friends and Family of Mumia Abu-Jamal, Mobilizing for Mumia, the San Diego Coalition to Free Mumia and All Political Prisoners, Bring Mumia Home, On a Move, Workers' World Party, the Socialist Unity Party, the Peace and Freedom Party, the African People's Socialist Party, Sagan Penn Cop Watch, All of Us or None, Union del Barrio, Black Lives Matter, the Black Alliance, De-Incarcerate Pennsylvania, the American Indian Movement, the International Leonard Peltier Defense Committee, the Abolitionist Law Collective, Amistad, Releasing Aging People in Prison, and the Prison Solidarity Committee are some of the many organizations that are involved in the movement. On April 15th, there was a social media Twitter storm, emails and phone zaps to Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania all day to get the word out. The movement alarmed the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections officials. One of the supporters participating in the phone zap was falsely told that Mumia was hospitalized with COVID-19 symptoms. This scared many supporters as the message spread around the world because Mumia's health makes him a high risk from dying from the virus. This was a cruel thing to do. Many called the Department of Corrections demanding to hear from Mumia himself. On the morning of April 16th, Prison Radio released a recorded phone conversation of Mumia and Pam Africa and other members of the friends and family of Mumia Abu-Jamal, where he thanked everyone for checking on him and caring about him and assured everyone that he is okay. Mumia said, "What I need is freedom." The coalition put out an emergency press release and organized a news conference on April 16th, condemning Pennsylvania's Department of Corrections, their cruel hoax claiming Mumia was hospitalized with COVID-19 symptoms. Committees met to plan and organize a weekend of events for mobilizing for Mumia's 66th birthday celebration. All of the events were going to be held online using social media, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube as the medium. This type of international mobilization has never been done before. The technology team will be kept key to all of the events. The 5 days of events began April 23rd. The first event was a news conference. Included were two of the leading organizers, Pam Africa and Santiago Alvarez, a graduate student of University of California, Santa Cruz. Professor Lynn Washington, Janine Africa, and New York State Assembly member Charles Barron were among the speakers at the news conference. The news conference was a success with hundreds of people signing on and participating. On April 25th, a teach-in featuring over 20 speakers from across the U.S. and around the world, including political prisoners and former political prisoners. The speakers included Mark Lamont Hill, Fred Hampton Jr., Sekou Odinga, Janet Africa, Rashid Johnson, Pam Africa, and Angela Davis. The Zoom hosts were Johanna Fernandez, Betsy Peace, Sophia Williams, Santiago Alvarez, and Mike Africa Jr., son of Mike Africa of the Move 9. The teach-in was a success with over 500 people listening. On April 25th, there was a virtual dance party with DJs and music. The final finale on April 26th, called Poetry, started at noon, a 24-hour celebration of Mumia. It included Mumia's audio commentaries and slideshows, music and live videos, and birthday messages from individuals who shared experiences meeting and learning from Mumia. Organizations sent messages of solidarity from all over the world. Also shown was a story of the Move 9 and the Move organizations. Mumia's commentaries covered prisons, sports, the environment, art, history, politics, May Day, and many other issues. Mumia is an amazing journalist. His commentaries, along with his books, should be required supplemental reading for high school and college students. Thank you, Mumia, for your 39 years plus of journalism. Thank you, Noel Hammerhand and Prison Radio for recording and posting Mumia's commentaries. Thank you to all the organizations and those who contributed to this amazing 5-day celebration of Mumia Abu-Jamal. Speaking truth to power. Speaking truth is power. Revolutionary birthday greetings to Mumia. The time is now to release Mumia and all political prisoners. I'm reading this because I think that we have a lot of mobilizations and a lot of struggle that we have to, start being involved in. We have to do it a different way. We have to do it as we're doing today. This is wonderful. This is beautiful. But we have to continue the struggle to free all political prisoners and to end white supremacy, to shut down the prison industrial complex, and to shut down the whole system of mass incarceration. Thank you so much, Jim, for inviting me, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Gloria. Be safe in Houston. Thank you for coming.
And Dallas, actually, Dallas.
Okay.
Dallas. All right, thank you.
You all getting your money's worth by any chance?
I just want Gloria to come home.
Oh, wow, I miss you guys. I miss you guys so much.
I'll come see you when this is over.
Okay, really? When is your flight? No, I'm just kidding.
And it's so important that what Gloria was talking about, Mumia has been in there too long. And we need to really work together to free Mumia and all political prisoners, you know. So, Uhuru to Gloria. And, you know, San Diego misses you. Without you, it's a vacuum here. So, missing, you know. So, we want to honor all the work that you've done. And when you told me you were retiring, you never retired. You worked more when you retired than when you worked, you know. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done in Cuba with the caravan and just with all organizations, you know, and it's so important because you are a library, you know, everyone else, Sharon, Elise, just, and, but, you know, Miss Fox, who went through all kinds of trials and tribulations, because I knew her as a youth, and to see her come out to be a great political organizer is just it brings, you know, happiness to my heart, and you too, you know. So Uhuru again, free Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Makeda, we have 5 poets left, and it's 27 to 2:27. Are we okay on time? Do we need to cut it short?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And Black Expression is here too, so they'll be coming in. Yeah.
Okay. So our next poet for the Revolutionary Poets Brigade is Joe Milosh, who has been nominated for the Pushcart Prize several times. He has fixed probably $4,000 worth of stuff around my house because he's very good mechanically. And I'm not sure which I value, except for the stuff that doesn't work. I'm not sure which I value the most. Please welcome, this is Joe Milosh.
Hey, Joe. Hey. So I was thinking, first of all, one of the best honors of my life is to be here and to be associated with the Revolutionary Guard. Every time I come, I'm knocked out by the readers who read poetry that is really good to my ear, you know. So, but I was thinking about the Revolutionary Guard this morning because today Little Richard died. And I was thinking because I have 6 brothers, there's 6 of us, and 5 of them emailed me today that Little Richard died. And in our house, we weren't allowed to listen to any rock and roll station, but the most revolutionary. Excuse me. Soupy Sales, who would play Little Richard music 3 times in every half-hour show. So the only rock and roll we grew up with was Little Richard. And you got to think, how revolutionary is that? But that has nothing to do with this poem. It's called Driftwood Calm. It's in my new book called Home Plate Was a Heart and Other Stories. Driftwood Calm. Today the Vietnam War ends, 1975. The wind scoured cliff caves, clean of everything but wing-flapped echoes. As I collected driftwood, I saw an otter break from the brush above the inlet. He leaped wiry and wild from the bank. He splashed into the ocean. Swimming toward the mussel-coated rocks, he drove 3 times and surfaced twice with a rock and a shellfish. Cracking the shell, he ate quickly. After his 3rd dive, he shook his head and sprinkled the ocean with water droplets. Rolling onto his back, he folded his legs across his chest like a man's arms are folded in his casket. As the sun set, he floated with driftwood calm before he disappeared among the waves. On the horizon, thin clouds became sun-torched streaks, and I brooded because all this meant nothing to the soldiers who died in Nam. And I was very, thank you. I was very lucky to grow up with my great uncles. Among them was my Uncle Leo, who was in World War I. He was in the trenches in France. And when he came back, he went onto the farm and he never left the farm, not to go to church or to town, until he died in 1972. So he was there from approximately 1919, 1920 to 1972.
Wow. Okay.
And one day I was out there helping him in the barn, and I said to him, Uncle, why don't you leave the farm? You know, I mean, that was a big thing in the family and all. And he said to me, you don't want to cheat death. You want to love the things and the people you love. And that was his reason. And so just kind of a thought of love. And I'm going to read a letter from my book called Somewhere Between the Present, the Beginning. It's addressed to a friend of mine who died in Vietnam. It's written to his mother. Lydia, as I closed the blinds because why they had done it, no one ever explained, though the rumor had it that someone switched those orders because he was a half-breed Sioux or because he wore love beads. For me, this switch was not a joke. As a result, I can work only in dark rooms. All I know is his plane exploded overseas. On the day of the ceremony celebrating his death, it stopped raining. Then you stepped into the stage in sunlight, Lydia. The rays reflecting off your sequin purse changed forever the way I looked at life. As I stand at attention beside his casket, one of the sergeants stood directly behind me. He mumbled, "A good Indian is." Later, he offered you his condolences. In the sunlight, the dog tags they presented to you gleamed inside the glass cover. I pulled my cap's brim over my shades. Still, the light coming off the case hurt my eyes. Lydia, I didn't dare tell you that it wasn't Smitty in the bag and that it was a common trick they pulled. When they couldn't recover a soldier's body, they tied his name tag on another soldier's bag. They knew you would never find out it wasn't your son under the red carnations you placed on the casket.
Wow.
That we came out of the war changed and incomplete didn't give me the right to make your pain even worse. So I kept my mouth shut and I let it ride. Thinking of him brings this image of you dressed in a black coat. You stand in the winged shadow of a recon plane. I wonder what you thought as you touched what you thought was his body and the drops of mist slid off your sleeves onto the plastic bag. The Army taught me the trick of reading a map by finding the idealized parts of a woman among the contour line. But I find it hard to idealize anything. I don't want to see anything too clearly. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that I feel lost in daylight and wear cheap sunglasses in sunny rooms. Often I sit in the shadow. I close my eyes and enter a place where memories run like rain off hangar roofs and recon planes. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Our next poet is someone that when he reads in Mexico or he reads over here, like I saw him feature one night at Palabra over in Logan Heights, and I've seen him read at Shakut and at Enclave Caracol, but there's no slow gear when he reads. It's always pedal to the metal, and then when his social consciousness is lit up, it's not a light, it's a fire. Please welcome Gerardo Navarro.
Hi, how you doing, everybody? Hope you're doing fine. Hi. So I'm just gonna, I change in the mood somewhere outside today. I dream it in words. Time continues to fall from the altars of fate. I feel blessed with a sense that the extra drugs will give me the change of the ages. A skin that opens, breathes. The song remains inside like oceans. When the mind declines, the sun's revenge sets in the zenith. It is not a sentimental love story, but a selfless act of a withering passion. The senseless search for company is pitiful. The quest itself lacks resolution. Love in the naked flesh, loving, overlooking, forgiving, forgetting, letting go. I enter the void amid the tombstones, bathing in brightness of infinite joy, laughing songs of loss to the boulders. I lie on a bed of sand, writing the requiem of shadows, exhaling mist to the skies with a taste of blood on the lips, the rotten greatness of my feet. They request one last fight, one final act of defiance. And I said to my dogs, I forgot to kiss the world goodnight. We used to do that. We used to die wise. It is the dance that makes all the difference. And in that dance, I wish you a great life.
Thank you, Gerardo. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So we're down to our last 21 minutes. If the rest of the poets could keep your performance to 5 to 7 minutes. The young people are waiting to read, and I'd like to be respectful to our young Black expression poets. Our next poet is, sometimes she's called the Kwanzaa poet. And at the Space Bar, we had her come in last December to celebrate, help us celebrate Kwanzaa. And please welcome someone who's been around the San Diego poetry scene since I was doing the the Encanto Boys and Girls Club Children's Poetry Choir in 2004. She was already a name in San Diego as a very strong poet. This is Johnnierenee Nia Nelson. Johnnierenee, are you there? Did she go? I don't see her. I think she left. Well, maybe she had to go to the ladies' room and she'll be back. Why don't we go with the man that was first the San Diego beat poet, and then he became the California beat poet, and now he's the United States beat poet. And we really, really are glad he's with us. This is Chris Vannoy.
Am I there? All right, I'm here, back in the universe. You hear me, Jim?
Yes, I can.
All right. Poems for the day. Let me see. This one's called Slave. I am already a slave to technology. I cook my food with it, transport myself in it, listen to it. It reminds me of my appointments, my errands, never my failures. It wakes me in the morning and drowns me into sleep at night. I gaze up into the heavens, and they are there, the angels, the size of a loaf of bread, orbiting me, their apogee and perigee humming around the earth, their voices speaking in all tongues at once, singing from the sky. For me, technology, it's there, singing of cultures, and just there, waiting for me. That was Slave. This is 2020. They told me to go to my cell and shelter there, told me to cut off face-to-face contact with everyone, keep everyone at arm's length. They told me my job would not be functioning during this pandemic and the schools would be closed and the airplanes sheltered in their airport homes, everything scrubbed, but I am here in my cell and the virus is just outside my door waiting for me. This one's called Subterranean. I have screamed through the midnight streets of this nation's burned out dreams, my psychic jumping the curbs of good intentions as my spare change thoughts jingle jangle their way to the burned out life. And that's the way it is when you forget and travel down the same long roads again to where fate's hammer beats you back, fractures your illusions of truth as my visions scream from a distant past that crumbles around pulsars and memories, sweet dreams of the saved but not forgiven. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for coming. So we're down to Johnnierenee. Did you come back? I guess not. I guess not. So we're down to a lady who, even when she was in graduate school working on her PhD, you know, they try to kill you in graduate school. And so she would show up and she would read. And especially when in the fall, we did 3 nights at the Queen Bee Art and Cultural Center on called the Poets Vote. And the audiences were mostly the poets, but we filmed it and we were able to use her poem and a lot of other speakers that came in to influence the midterm elections. So please welcome a warrior. This is Laurie Walkington.
Thank you, Jim. Hey, everybody. I need to get this down. I'm going to read 3 pieces, one a little lengthier than the other 2. Okay. She sits in the back left corner of the room, always decked out in 1980s punk band t-shirts, cut-off jeans and brightly colored socks stuffed into silver-studded combat boots. Peering through curious eyes, she is mostly quiet while others speak their experiences. She smiles a lot, a ray of sunshine smile that hides the pain she has seen, But from where I stand at the front of the room, most of the others don't even know she's there. I wonder how she manages that megawatt smile when she has no fare for the bus, so her silver-studded combat boots carry her everywhere, away from monsters hidden under the guise of someone named Father. And she's always there, in the back left corner of the classroom, smiling. She has the common scars that women share, from homespun fairy tales turned nightmare. And when she told of that monster of old tracked her down at her escape, she also smiled. And every day she's there, in the back left corner of the classroom, soaking it all in. I hope learning something she can rub into her silver-studded combat boots like salve as she walks back out into the world. Okay, so this next one, just because we can't forget the sisters when we're talking about what they do to our Black bodies. She has seen enough of human beings with no humanity and wonders what to do when humanity is no longer part of the human condition. So for a moment, in a pipe dream, this woman's quest for righteousness is suspended. I am calling for a biophysical molecular breakdown, separating those who lack humanity away from the rest of the species. Back then, it was 26 lives and children were 20. 20 babies they took in Sandy Hook that day, but how many in Chicago, Compton, Ferguson, San Diego's four corners of death? No wonder why the news correspondent chuckled through a curled lip snare as she pondered if we are yet post-race in America. And of our women and our girls, sadness cracks through a papier-mâché heart, watching as they laughed at that girl, laughed as they dragged her 16-year-old non-responsive body to carnal violation and back. They laughed. Who's responsible for this human condition? Who teaches these boys their actions are brag-worthy? And have we become so obsessed with conquest that near necrophilia should be prized? There she sat, a watching woman, wanting to understand woman, thinking back to dorm rooms and apartments provided by fame-seeking coaches for their star players. And she knows that there's nothing new in that news. No, this news, it's nothing new. And just for a moment, she dreams to acquiesce to the primal urge growing with every beat of her heart to rain her rage upon them, to forget for one fleeting second, not to play into stereotype constructions of angry Black bitch, not to have to represent for her race or her gender. If only she had one moment suspended in time, she would make razor-thin, jagged cuts to their bodies, peeling strips of flesh bit by bit to make lattice artwork from their carnage that she will hang from her walls. Be gone with them, you lack humanity, she thinks. Humankind has no use for them. All she sees is mother's pain, daughter's tears, fathers enraged at their own helplessness built into our systems. Send those moments, send them frozen in time, so she can put all that pain and rage upon those who deserve it until she is spent and their families have justice. But she cannot forget Jezebel and Mammy and mean Black bitch. That's the trick of the system, you see, for when we rage, we give life to their stereotypes they so masterfully constructed. But alas, what's a woman to do with justice in her mind and bloodlust in her heart? What is she to do but keep these thoughts safely in her dreams? One more, little short one. Also old, but unfortunately very prevalent to today, that I'm going to read in honor of Ahmaud Arbery. And this piece is called Q. We found his boots in our coat closet 2 days later. His name was Quincy, but we called him Q. Q was a 19-year-old community college student who worked part-time doing electrical repairs for the gas company. He introduced us to Hendrix all along the Watchtower in Hey Joe. We didn't understand 90 suburbs kids that we were and thought Q was a little weird. But something about the way he insisted that this other weird man had something to say made us listen until the weird psychedelic chords untangled into magical consciousness. Q played guitar too, and like his idol was dead too soon. But like those strung up before, You know, the ones in black and white photos where children cheer the dead, charred black bodies. Q dared to receive the affections of the forbidden white fruit. They found him in the desert, dead, bound, shot execution style in the back of his head. And now, every time I hear Kendricks, I think about Q's empty boots in the bottom of our coat closet. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you for being with us. Much appreciated. So Makeda is trying to help Johnnierenee get back to us. And Chris, are you still there? Chris Vannoy? I guess not.
He's here. He's just muted.
Pardon me?
He's there. He's there.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Here I am.
I heard a rumor that you were still drinking decaf. Is that true?
Decaf? I don't drink decaf. Give me caffeine. Make me scream as the brown bean bakes in rotating metal drums. Cappuccino on ice. Latte is nice. Espresso my heart. Squeeze it through steam. Let me sip caffeine. Dripping down thick and strong. Dripping down, creamed or chocolated. Sprinkled with nutmeg spice. Vanilla would be nice. More vanilla, please. Squeeze it out of my napkin. Cold, but oh so full of caffeine. Give me a coffee bar in my car. I'll put my order in. Fill my 2-liter cup to the brim. Top with a plop of whipped cream. What a dream. Oh, caffeine. Decaf. I don't drink decaf.
That's that just made my day right there. Makeda, do we have Johnnierenee back?
We're trying to get her, but you know, maybe she can come on with the open mic so we can move forward.
Okay,
so
well,
wait just a second. She's coming on through the cell phone now. She's coming on through the cell phone, which is just as good. She's trying to.
Okay, so if everybody could just have a little more patience.
But Elise, maybe we should go on. Okay. So let's move forward with the open mic. I think we should do that and then and bring her on. Are we ready for the open mic?
Yes. If you want to just leave a space for her later on, all the brigade has read. Thank you very much for letting us be part of this.
Well, we're all together and it's so important that we have this forum for the poets. And so our young poets are going to come on. It's so nice that as elders, and I call myself an elder, we leave this library because every time we lose an elder, we lose a library. So Chico, that was a library. So it's so important that we merge and work with the youth and the young poets. So we're going to move forward to the young poet. So if anybody else until we just merge into that, maybe Gloria could give us one more. I don't think she did a poem, did she?
No, she just did the thing from Mumia. Gloria, do you have a poem for us?
I didn't do a poem, but I do. I mean, Malcolm X's birthday is coming up, and I do have another piece from Mumia on Malcolm X, the meaning of Malcolm X. I'm not a poet. I'm not a poet, as all these magnificent poets are, but I do write.
You are. You're good.
Yeah. But I do think the Mumia's work is poetic, and that's why they called it poetry in motion. So I could, if you like, but I mean, I know there's others who like to do that. So, but if you'd like to hear this, Malcolm X's birthday is coming up, May 19th. It'll be his 96th birthday. So, what do you think?
I think Makeda would really like to hear it, and so would we.
Oh, okay. All right, let me put the video on. I can turn the video. Okay. Malcolm's Meaning, and this is also by Mumia, Abu-Jamal. The Malcolm X that we see represented in today's mass media is a Malcolm that Malcolm himself wouldn't recognize. He is portrayed today as a civil rights activist, a kind of Martin Luther King figure that, except he was Muslim. In a sense, popular culture has softened his image and varnished his rawness. Malcolm wouldn't recognize this new Malcolm. To listen to Malcolm or to read his speeches is to find a man who was a revolutionary. He called himself a human rights activist because he had little trust that the US government would fairly protect the rights of Black folks. He was a Black nationalist who was also an internationalist, in essence, a Pan-Africanist. During his years as a hard-working minister in the Nation of Islam, he was a bitter critic of civil rights leaders who struggled for integration. In his defense, he said, "It's not an integration that Negroes in America want. It is human dignity. To be sure, integration was a means, not an end." As we survey today's landscape broadly, we must admit that millions of Black folks live in or go to school in communities and institutions that are economically and structurally segregated 40 years later. Malcolm moves many today because of his extraordinary integrity and his determination to learn, to grow, to develop. What touches many young people is Malcolm's rise from hustler and prisoner to minister and later spokesperson for an emerging revolutionary movement. Malcolm had a tremendous impact on Huey P. Newton, founder of the Black Panther Party. In fact, Newton later wrote he would have joined the Nation of Islam, except as a son of a preacher, he tired of religion. Many of us like to try to minimize Malcolm's years in prison, yet these were truly informative years which shaped him in ways that affected the rest of his life. Once, while in prison, Malcolm and other prisoner debaters held a debate against students of MIT, that's Massachusetts Institute of Technology, on the issue of the death penalty. Malcolm was leader of the prison debate team and beat MIT by arguing that while English authorities were hanging people for stealing, English pickpockets were hard at work on the crowd stealing. His years of hard work and study while in prison prepared him for an extraordinary career as a minister and movement leader. It is precisely this role that made him a target of the state. One only needs to read author Claiborne Carson's book, Malcolm X, to see how the FBI shadowed Malcolm X from place to place, from day to day for years. They even recorded his trips abroad, like his lecture at Oxford Union, where he denounced U.S. domestic policy. Those Malcolm's speech earned long applause. On February 21st, 1965, the day of his assassination, the Malcolm X file reflects a conversation between a reporter for the now defunct magazine Life, an unnamed person in Washington, D.C. During this conversation, one told the other that it is believed that Malcolm's killers were imported to New York from elsewhere. One person advised the other that they would check out Washington and the CIA because Malcolm's snafu'd U.S. relations with African nations. If anything, Malcolm X became a bigger presence in Black life and death than before. It's been 55 years since his assassination. He is as alive today as he was on February 20th,
Especially with you.
1965. This is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Happy birthday, Malcolm.
Yes, happy birthday, Malcolm.
And thank all the poets for joining us. Jim, we're going to move into the Black expressions. Are you guys lined up? So we're ready for you. Black expression, open mic time. Once again, Jim, you want to thank everyone too, and at the end we'll come back and give you your award.
Yeah, thank you, Brigade, San Diego, Tijuana, Revolutionary Poets Brigade. Thank you, Pilar, for our new name. And thank you all for spitting and reminding us of where our hearts are. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Jim. Thank you very much, and everyone. We have a whole new line of Black poets. I'm so happy that we're merging the youth together, and the home is the WorldBeat Center. It will always be their home. Wherever they go, they always can come back to the center. And they're on Friday nights, and we can't wait to open up again. And they're at 8:00, and they're called Black Expressions. Black Expressions. We're ready for you now. And open mic.
Thank you, Marianne.
For sure.
Hey, I guess I'll go first. My name's Kobu. I think everybody signed up on open mic in the chat, maybe, or did they send it to Jim? How does it work?
How do you want the open mic? It's in the chat. What do you want it sent?
You're showing up now.
You're showing up, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll just go. So I'll do 2 pieces and then turn it over to whoever is next. Can you all hear me?
Perfect.
All right.
Yes, we did.
The Black boy cries, "Man up, men don't do that." The Black boy tries, "Not like that, boy. Men don't act like that." Like this. The Black boy tries this, no. Like that. The Black boy tries that, no. Like this. The Black boy takes classes, acting. Learns lessons from TV, music, and mothers raising him not to be the man that left, not knowing this is not guaranteed he will end up the kind of man that stays. The Black boy dresses up like teen. Learns that losing virginity before the pre and teen drops is rite of passage into this lifelong play called manhood. Masculinity, a ceremonial wardrobe that exists only for namesake, as no worth is attached. And no one really remembers its origins or purpose, but its tradition. The Black boy wears it proudly, ignorant as those who directed him to put it on. The Black boy learns that boy, his curse he will be stuck with no matter what age he decides to pretend to be, as his actions, whenever unfavorable, will be compared to such. Learns that boy is what white women called his great-granddad, what police call him. See, ancestry runs deep, even when he is unaware of his own heritage. The Black boy questions. Questions if anyone is paying attention to him. Or are they as ignorant to his pain as he is learning to become? Is he only as valid as his emotions, and what even are those? Boys will be boys does not apply when childhood is something that boy never knew, because man replaced child when boy was born into a place where man was removed. We call it hood, normal, expected, never valid. He questions, is there even a such thing as a real Black man? Or is he doomed to become a cheap knockoff that everyone can spot but him? The Black boy forgets to answer questions everyone has told him he was born with the answers to. Forgets that he's learning, forgets that he's pretending, forgets that he's crying, says instead he's angry, forgets that he is boy. The black man becomes a poet. He writes poems about his endless game of Russian roulette with masculinity. He wonders if people are listening to his words. He was never taught how to cry out for help, just never to cry. So he yells out in poems, ensuring to be aware of everyone's triggers but his own. And the audience snaps along. They tell him to go in, not knowing he has gone so far into himself, he's lost his way out. The black boy takes off masculine armor, shows the world that he is still a black boy. That when he holds an opinion and he is told to be quiet, he just hears, man up. Men don't act like that. It's silent now, and he is finally heard. Thanks.
Wow, he memorized all that.
Did not. So the next piece that I'm going to do is going to be a real short one. Wait, can y'all hear me? Yeah, so the next piece I'm gonna do is be really short. It's in terms of the things that's going on right now. I don't know if everyone has seen. You had the 25-year-old black man whose birthday is today, who was killed while jogging. You had another vet who was shot in the back on Facebook Live while running away. And the officers didn't know that the Facebook Live was still running. So they joked about how it was going to be a closed casket. And even the young lady who was a healthcare worker who was killed because police raided her her apartment. They were in the wrong apartment. They killed her and her boyfriend who shot to defend, who didn't know that they were the police because they didn't identify themselves. He's currently facing attempted murder charges. So with all that going on, I'm just read a short piece that I wrote a while ago, but I think still applies. It's called Things I'm Tired. Things I'm tired of writing about. Being black and oppressed. But art is a reflection of life, so does that mean I'm tired of living it? But that mean these poems are just drawn out cries for help and a long suicide note I don't have the energy to finish? Is that why I never finish my poems? Afraid of what lies on the other side of complete. To procrastinate is to avoid a goal that needs to. Thanks. That's the end of it. So I think Ronald Williams put it down in the comment. So I think probably next.
Oh, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Okay.
Good, good. Good to see some more people. You know, shout out to the social distancing.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Cool, cool. I'm gonna be reading a piece off my phone, so I'm about to pull that up real quick. This one is called "The Day My Son Drives." My friends tell me I'm the best driver they've ever met. Actually, they don't. One time, I was driving in a high school parking lot when an oncoming pole chose to hit the front of my mother's car. The airbag threw a haymaker right out the steering wheel, and my mother has been skeptical of my driving ever since. The day my son gets his license, I will be the hardest driving instructor he's ever met. My son will be required to memorize every hand signal and speed limit. I will remind him of the freeways, how they shouldn't be traveled faster than 65 miles an hour. But on those Monday mornings, when he becomes a missed snooze button away from his late arrival to the workplace, that time may vary. I will remind him that the residential zones are 25, even when the streets look empty. I will tell him about the ticking time bomb in the driver's seat, his body, his presence, his existence. I will remind him to yield those who have the right of way. I will remind him that he will rarely have the right of way. Christopher Mitchell was 23 years old when bullets parallel parked inside his lungs. His family will rent a funeral home before he reaches the age to rent a car. Philando Castile was 32 when 7 bullets merged into his chest without signaling fast. His daughter was 4 years old. My son will be taught how to merge lanes, the way flashy lights swallow the back of suspicious vehicles. When the car is covered in nighttime sky, I'll remind him to use his headlights. But how do I tell him that driving while black is a pair of rolled dice, is a crooked slot machine, is literally Russian roulette with the steering wheel, and officers usually bet on all red? These days, our vehicles seem to hold blood as if it was gasoline. So when he tells me the car is leaking, I will tell him to take it to the ambulance. He will laugh in my era of context. Unaware of the previous casualties, do I tell him that a car and a casket can have the same functions? Both vehicles for transporting our bodies. Why mention the speed limits without mentioning our limited time? Will he know that I fear never seeing my residence after 25? Or that our prayer moving 65 miles an hour can still end in a head-on collision with death? When you hear "don't move," that includes breathing, the influx of chest. When you exit the vehicle, I want you to be like an airbag, relaxed, but prepared for impact. Remember to use the hand signals I taught you, the same ones God's son used before he was crucified too. The day my son drives is the day I question my son's shine. Wonder if he will become the shining ray of an obituary. When he receives his license, I will tell him everything that can protect him when he is pulled over. 1. And that's the poem.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Jesus.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
I think Janice is up next. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All righty. I'm gonna be reading out of my journal, so let me just flip to the right page real quick.
Genesis, Sabrina.
Okay.
How do we sign up?
Okay. I guess I'll do one actual piece and then a song that I did on the Zoom for Black Expression yesterday. So we'll start with the poem first, though.
It's like a baby. Yo.
White woman once told me because I get financial aid, I'm not allowed to complain. She said, I don't bite the hand that feeds you. I said, eat till you're full and then burn down the kitchen if you feel like it, because I can do what I want to. I have a right to speak the same way you do. Don't question it otherwise. I'm really tired of people expecting me to apologize for being black. But you got me messed up. Sorry, not sorry. Stop expecting apologies when you're the one that continues with the disrespect and hypocrisy, wanting my melanin without my struggle, wanting to appropriate my culture without understanding the dark roots which it comes from. The birds of Ruth and sister Jim Crow may have left, but the nest is still covered and the rose are still covered in its feathers. I am hurt because they say that the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, but the reality is the blacker the baby, the tighter the noose. I'm angry because Black lives didn't matter until it became a hashtag. We have become nothing more than a fashion statement that everyone wants to imitate, but no one wants to understand. Black women.
Sega, you got muted. You just probably.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, you started back. Maybe
okay.
Has to mute.
Wait, so start from the beginning or just the last part?
Probably just there because it kept going in and out.
I think the last part I got was fashion statement. That was the last line.
Okay, yeah, that works then. Oh wait, wait, hold up. Let me put my headphones in. Maybe that'll work better. Okay. Can you hear me better? Want to see if these headphones work.
They work.
Okay, cool. All right, there we go. Okay. Ooh. White woman once told me, because I get financial aid, I'm not allowed to complain. She said, don't bite the hand that feeds you. I said, if they're the ones that choose to feed me, I'm allowed to eat till I'm full. And if I feel like burning down the kitchen because you're being disrespectful, that's my choice. I'm really tired of people expecting me to apologize for being Black. Sorry, not sorry. Stop expecting apologies when you're the one that continues with the disrespect and hypocrisy, wanting my melanin without my struggle, wanting to appropriate my culture without even understanding the dark roots which it comes from and still continues to go through. In the words of Rudy Francisco, Jim Crow may have left the nest, but the road is still covered in its feathers. I am hurt because they say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, but in reality, the blacker the baby, the tighter the noose is. I'm angry. Black lives didn't begin to matter until it became a hashtag. We have become nothing more than a fashion statement that everyone wants to imitate, but no one wants to understand. Black women, something everyone wants to exploit, but no one wants to take care of and appreciate for the queen that she is, most underrepresented and unappreciated. Black woman who has been silenced, only woman who have to ask themselves, does he even like Black women? Is he gonna like my braids, or is he gonna be around the white girl? These appropriating statements in a continuous world that treats us like we are still a third of a person, never enough to be wifey, but I haven't forgotten my brothers who have to deal with being killed because of the color of their skin, for people hating them for a color, understood what they don't understand what it means to be Black men because they have to be Black men by the time they are young. They never get the chance to be Black boys. They're always expected to succeed, but are never appreciated once they've actually done it. The bar is set so low that they are crushing under the weight, and you expect them to breathe while everyone else treats them like they are accursed Black men that get more ain't shit poems than thank you poems, and I love you poems, and I appreciate you poems, then I am glad you are alive poems. I am not just woman, I am queen. He is not just Black man, he is king. To the people who have lost their lives, I ask for a moment of silence, just real quick. And to the people that are still here, I'm glad that you are still with us for as long as you continue to be with us, and I hope that you stay blessed and safe in a world that continuously makes you afraid to be that. Sorry for the morbidness. And then I'll do the song from yesterday. Gotta pull up. Thanks. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna have to do a cappella, so because I don't know how to pull up the song at the same time, so bear with me. Okay. Ooh, whoopsie. Southern trees bearing strange fruit, blood on leaves and blood at the roots. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scenes of the gallant South. Them big bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolias, clean and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the
crows to fly, for the rain to gather, for the wind to sigh, for the soul to ride, and for the leaves to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry. Okay, yeah, that's it. Appreciate it. Gonna mute myself now.
Thank you. So we're going to go on next, Black Expression. Thank you, thank you. So.
Okay, next up is me. My name is Rashida.
Hey, Rashida.
How are you? Good to see you. So I'm in a space. I'm gonna do 2 poems for you all, but I'm in a space where I'm very sad. And I think everyone can kind of feel that, just what's currently going on all over media. And I really had to kind of take a step back. So I'm not going to apologize for the sadness, but I do want to just welcome you into that space. So the first one's on my phone, so I'm going to have to put my face away, but then I'll come right back and do the second poem. So give me 1 minute. Okay, so this first poem is called Genesis, which is super ironic, but here it goes. Let's see. My mother tells me that I have always been creative, always have created false scenarios of good people and what real love looks like. I tell her that someone has to create a world that lacks betrayal and heartache, where sobs turn into the sound of Black children playing on smooth Black pavement just because they can, where ugly laughs uproot themselves from bellies and tears of joy flow like milk and honey. I am learning what it means to be made from the image of God. I like to imagine the genesis of a world where everyone is happy just because they can be. For once, sadness doesn't exist. And we can all remember that when the world was first made, it was good. Thank you. The second one I'm going to do is called, it doesn't have a name, but because this is what I felt and this is what I wrote. Some mornings I wake up sad, like really sad. Other days I wake up sadder than the day before. And most mornings I can't really explain what direction my sadness is leading me. Like some blind compass trying to find home. They say sadness is a part of the cycle. I hope my tears are just condensation. That is my body's way of preparing for the storm before the calm. So I try to pray for showers of blessings and days less cloudy than this one. I keep praying even though most days I can't explain the purpose of shed tears. I think if I could name each one, it'll somehow start growth in the areas I hate most about myself, or somehow help me grow past the things I can't change. I just know that I can't stop them when they flow. Someone said once that that our ancestors helped build that our ancestors, that the Nile River has helped our ancestors exist for centuries. And look how it's helped build civilizations even after that. Maybe my tears are trying to keep me alive. Maybe they are teaching me that eventually everything will turn out okay. And it's all right to cry till then. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was also muting myself.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Mute me. There you go. Okay. So who's the next open mic? Walk up to the mic.
There was a Giovanni Mayer that asked what was the order. I don't know if they want to go or not.
Well, is Giovanni there?
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh, okay. Hey. All right, you're on, Giovanni.
Where's Gio?
Okay. Can you hear? Are you there? Okay. So you want us to come back so we can get Johnnierenee right now. Let's go into Johnnierenee because we're going over time right now. We'll get back to Johnnierenee. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, great. Okay. So should I go ahead? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I had these two poems that I had written, and it's kind of hard for me to stay focused sometimes because of all the stuff that happens in society, you know? I can't hear you now. Oh, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you clear.
Oh, okay, okay.
Are you there? Jim.
You're breaking up a little for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear.
Jim, you want to introduce Johnnierenee?
Oh, yes. I would love to introduce Johnnierenee. Back in, I moved back to town from Paula Reservation in 2004, and I was hired by Encanto Boys and Girls Club to do poetry workshops. And that's when I first met Johnnierenee, and she was already a voice in this town. And sometimes when people talk about her, they say, "Oh, you mean the Kwanzaa poet?" Because she has, I think, 3 books now about Kwanzaa, which is really, really important to remember this harvest ceremony, harvest days that was invented at Long Beach State University by a professor that's there. I'm forgetting his name now. And she has kind of made it a genre. What's his name?
Maulana Karinga.
Maulana Karinga. Thank you. Thank you. So she's kind of made it her own genre. And I like that the very first day of Kwanzaa is Umoja. Umoja is a Swahili word that means that we would all have a unity of consciousness, of love and kindness, no matter what our colors of skin, no matter what our religion, no matter what our country, and no matter what our culture, that we could do Umoja together. So this is the great Johnnierenee.
Okay, so I have these 2 poems, and maybe I'll try to do this third one just because of what's been happening this week in the larger society. This is a poem I wrote last week, and what happened was that I saw a new drawing by one of my favorite artists, Kadir Nelson, on Sunday morning. I love that show because I love humanities and I love art and I love culture. And this painting he titled After the Storm. And so I wrote a poem as an homage to that painting. And the poem is called Shades of Solace, or After the Storm by Kadir Nelson. And as Oprah would say, that's my caravan. Let's hear it for the Nelsons. Okay, Shades of Silence, of Solace. Shades of Solace. The cyan blue patch centered in the background emerges from two clouds, one grayish purple, the other gray tinged with orange, and heralds the promise of a post-coronavirus world, a brighter day ahead. The image of the hugging and hand-clasping people still as starfish with raised chins and raised eyes trained toward the light speaks to their once again connectedness and to the collective strength of humankind as they dare to stare straight ahead at a kinder, more compassionate future. Just outside the frame, a golden eagle resides inside the artist's visionary palette. And that is Shades of Solace. Okay, so the next poem I wrote a couple years back, and it was a poem about hope and optimism too, because sometimes I can go there. I'm in a place where I'm calm and just feeling very optimistic about the society in spite of all our struggles. So this is a new color, a new day. A new color, a new day. Chandelier, the color of waterfalls and rivers, of stars and crystals twinkling and twirling throughout the universe. Chandelier, the color of tiaras that sparkle at twilight, and tears suspended in space that flash like the bulbs of an old Kodak camera. Chandelier, the colors of bubbly champagne, of dreams and hope and unparalleled optimism, the color of our collective future. And that is a new color, a new day.
Do you have one more, Johnnierenee?
You know, I do, and you know, I hate to sound like a one-trick pony, you know, or look like a one-trick pony, but this is a poem about how to get away with murder, because it's just relevant to what was in the news this week with regard to Ahmaud Arbery, a young Black man who was jogging down a country road, and he was murdered. He was murdered by a former law enforcement officer and his son. And this happened back in February, and nobody was ever arrested. You know, I mean, it's just business as usual. But unarmed Black man gets killed again. So what's new about that? So I call it. I gotta call it up. I had it a minute ago. I call it the never-ending. Never-ending poem, because I'm always adding another verse or line to it. So here it is.
Every 9 days.
How to Get Away with Murder, a never-ending poem. This is a 2020 version. I originally wrote this in 2015, and like I said, every year I just had to add another line or another stanza. How to Get Away with Murder. Live in the USA. Wear a badge. Wear a uniform. Or wear plain clothes. Wear white skin. Make sure your targets are young Black or brown males. Or make sure your targets are middle-aged or old Black or brown males. Choke, strangle, and suffocate your victims. Break their necks, break their spines. Shoot your targets repeatedly from a distance. Shoot your targets repeatedly from up close. Shoot them in the chest. Shoot them in the back. shoot them in the head, shoot them in the heart, shoot them 16 times in 15 seconds. And remember always the damning words of former Chicago Mayor Richard J. Daley, shoot to kill. Shoot them in the park, shoot them in the store, shoot them in the mall, shoot them in the street, shoot them in their cars, shoot them in their apartments, shoot them in their grandparents' backyard, shoot them while they're jogging down a country road in Georgia. Then create your own narrative of why your thug actions were warranted. Present your fabrication to a state-level grand jury. When that grand jury grants the wishes of the prosecuting attorney, flash a smug smile. Such non-indictments will stun, mystify, perplex, and confuse certain segments of the American public. People of color already know that this is the American way. P.S. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And I just want to add a comment to that poem. Amanda Gorman, who was the inaugural Youth Poet Laureate of the United States, said, our poems end doesn't mean our poems end. So these acts are occurring every year, every 6 months, every 3 months, repeatedly. Unarmed Black men are being murdered. Unarmed Black women are being murdered in this country, and we need to pay attention. Thank you.
And Johnnierenee is Poet Laureate at the WorldBeat Cultural Center. We're very honored, and you can see her at every event. So I want to thank you, Johnny, for always being there for the WorldBeat Cultural Center and being so kind. And
it is my honor, and I thank you.
So anyone else from, because we're gonna have to wind it down. We're getting to, anybody else?
I want to go.
Okay, we're ready for you.
Loop to dawn.
Yeah, that's me. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. You're on.
Okay, for sure. This is a song that I'm working on. I'm about to record it myself. I wrote it. I'm going to engineer and master it today. Out of respects to everything that's going on, I'm going to be hosting a private concert. So anybody that would like to attend that, just go ahead and hit me on my direct messenger. But this is a song that I'm working on, but instead of performing the song, I'm just going to read the lyrics. America, land of the proud and the free. You use your power for respect, that's not no power to me. Can't speak my mind without me getting busted down in the streets. That's America for you, land of the proud and the free. Now listen up to everybody. Somebody show me some truth. If you want to hear the truth, the niggas show me a booth. I ain't gonna beat. All my niggas told the police is true. But lately it's for protection from all the boys in the blue. Kill you up for your involvement in talking and all that you do. They pull you over, hands up, you take them down and they'll shoot. Reach for your wallet, they'll shoot. Make sure your posture is cool. Cause there's a whole lot of violence can lawfully do. No names on bullets, these pussy ass niggas pop them in you. Based off of color of your skin and how much talking you do. It's sounding awful but true. Think of who's in office is typical. Crucify you for no reason, but we honestly biblical. But they're meant to protect you, they'll leave you going in the streets. This is America for you, land of the proud and the free. America, land of the proud and the free. You use your power for respect. That's not no power to me. Can't speak my mind without me getting busted down in the streets. But that's America for you, land of the proud and the free. Man, how do y'all not get it yet? Child killers, protected by color, disrespect. How fucked up can this system get? Drug-ridden communities, gang violence influencing, police shooting at truantines. Niggas get faced with triple threats. That's all they get. Along with no opportunities, hit the streets and start moving things. If not faced with these bullets, my niggas is facing sentences. Now everybody on the lookout, because no one knew at birth you could get shot down at a cookout. And that's what's leaving me hurt. The people you scream, fuck the law, will put you on a t-shirt. We supposed to stand together, try to face this opposition. They put us against each other with no threat against the system. You gotta protect your reputation. Because if not, when niggas hit you, there's no retaliation. So you go and get your pistol. Kill your brother and your stupid ass get locked up in this system. The homie kill his homies and get locked up in there with you. How many brothers did we lose? Let's step back, let's do addition. You go and grab your hollow points and fill them till they empty. Let's say that there was 3 of them. Hold up, no, I'm not finished. You take down the opposition and their cousins had to witness. So they strode up, pulled up to go and get your niggas. So you just lost 4 homies and found out inside the clinker. They need the reputation, so they post that shit on Insta. The police was sitting there waiting, cop the address and go get them. Kick the door into the trap house, kill the niggas that's there with them, chalk it up as gang violence and go back home to their children. So we just lost 12 brothers and that's all due to the system screaming, fuck 12. But that's America. My people from a violent environment, only shootings and funeral violence will break this silence inside of this violent environment that I'm residing in. I'm from a concrete jungle, so monkey kind of fits. Growing up, victims to all this violence, only to be judged by the type of life we live. But that's America, land of the proud and the free. You use your power for respect, that's not no power to me. Can't speak my mind without me getting busted down in the streets, but that's America for you, land of the proud and the free.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all the youth and everyone here, thank you. And thank you, Mumia. Thank you, Malcolm X. And happy birthday to both of freedom fighters. And youth, all you youth out there, you are walking in their footsteps and you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Continue this, you know, and an activist has to be strong and not get burned out. So make sure you don't eat that colonized diet. Make sure that you watch what you're drinking, what you're smoking. We're living in some perilous times. So Jim, thank you, youth, all the youth out there. I love you very much. Bless you. And all the veterans, the veteran poets, thank you again. Johnnie, you large, man. Gloria. So we're going to give it this award. It's a Bob Marley Peace Award. And for Jim Moreno, all the good things that you've done, Jimmy Collins poetry, just incredible. The Brigade. So, you know, I don't want to just, you know, I know we have to move forward, but Bob Marley's passed Monday, and that's May 11th. So it's incredible in May, there's so many freedom fighters past and also born. So you received the Bob Marley Peace Award from the WorldBeat Cultural Center and the City of Poets and Freedom Fighters activists in San Diego. Thank you very much. And I want to say,
can I say something, please?
Sure. I just want to, you know, say how would you tell them how you started, you know, the Crescent Moon, how we were talking, and also how you put this together? Congratulations.
Thank you. I just wanted to say to the young people that came, thank you. There's older people that will say you're our future leaders, but I'm saying that when you write like you're writing right now, and you move me, I'm 72 years old, and you move me, and you're leaders right now. And I think we're really lucky to have you. I hope you'll continue to keep writing, and I hope that you'll find ways to make your messages more visible. From Ronald all the way to the young ladies that were sharing. Please keep writing. We need you, and come to the space bar when we're able to be safely together again and spit, because there's some people that are older that need to hear your message as well as your own generation. I want to say that this award is happening because of my brigade. When I asked you all, I'm talking about Pilar, Mavi, Sharon, Theresa, Dolores, Gloria, Joe, Gerardo, Johnnierenee, Chris, and Laurie. When I said we can't let this unpresidential president badmouth our Mexican brothers and sisters, we can't do that. And so my brigade just gathered themselves up, went to Tijuana on several occasions, read down there, read in at the space bar with the understanding that we were binational and we were bilingual from now on. We were the San Diego Tijuana Revolutionary Poets Brigade, and that's really important to me. I look at my Hollywood Squares screen here right now, and I see a diversity that we can continue and counter the racism and counter the deaths by having this umoja that we experience together. So I just want to say to all of you, including my brigade, I'm nothing without you, that you're medicine for the ills of this country right now. And we're lucky I'm lucky to have all of you. Thank you for this award.
Hey, congratulations, Jim.
Congratulations, Jim.
Congrats.
Yeah, Jim.
We love you.
Love you too.
Thank you, Jim.
Love you, Makeda.
I love you.
There's a protocol. I gotta take off.
So it's Ramadan. So under the crescent moon. Thank you,
Ramadan Kareem.
Within our chamber,
Bye-bye. Be safe.
All right.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jim. Bless all of you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yep, that's it. Assalamu alaikum, under the crescent moon.
Alaikum
Thank
salam.
you.
Alaikum salam.
So it's Ramadan. So we snuck that in, huh, Jim?
I think so. I think so.
I love you, Jim Moreno. Everyone there, Sharon, Elise. You guys are all good. Black expressions. We're so proud of you.
I'm a little tired. But it's a good tired.
Roaring thunder, thundering flood, and rage